Guys are back for another breakdown and predictions video, and we're coming off UFC Vegas 78. Literally just happened, and pretty pumped up off that event. We did really well. We won like close to $6,000 off the event. So if you're not on Patreon right now, man, I don't know what you're doing. We've been doing really well recently, and go over there and start making yourself some money, man. Patreon.com/Emyr PredictionGuru. It's definitely good value, and we're starting to get on a little hot streak here. So already got 2 bets for the Contender series. If you want to get access to those now before the lines change, definitely go over there and sign up, man. Support the channel and make yourself some money. But make sure to hit the like button on this video. Put a comment down below. Really appreciate everyone that helps support grow the channel, and hitting that like button, putting comments always helps grow the channel. So, but besides that, let's get into this first fight of the night here. We got Smotherman. He's taking on I'm going to try to say this guy's name, but I think it's Chara Lampas Gregorio, but could be saying that completely wrong. But we got Cameron Smotherman. He's a guy I've seen fight a lot. He fights for Fury FC. I believe almost all his pro fights have taken place in Fury FC, and all but one of his amateur fights have been with Fury as well. So due to that, he's only fought in or kind of around bordering states near Texas. And Texas is a huge state, so obviously they produce some talent, and Smotherman has tested himself, but this is going to be the first time he travels out to the West Coast to fight. And he started his career real up and down. He was 4-3 in his first 7 fights, but he turned it around. He's won 4 in a row, and his last win in February did earn him the Fury FC Bantamweight Championship. So off the heels of that win, the confidence is going to be high for Smotherman, and he's going to be trying to impress and win a contract. And when you look at Cam Smotherman, he is a good athlete. He's young, he's powerful, he has fast hands, and he has good pressure. He has a solid jab. He's big for the weight, so he has a long reach. He'll use the jab to slip the body-head combinations. He has a nice uppercut, and he throws pretty fluid. He's a clean boxer. He'll slip and rip. He has pretty good counter-punching, and he has good knees to the body, but he's almost exclusively hands. He doesn't really use kicks or knees too often. And he is a big puncher. He does have 5 knockouts. His defense is pretty solid as well. Good reflexes. He's fairly hard to hit. I do think his kicking defense is a little questionable. And when fighters can connect on Smotherman, he has shown a questionable chin. He's had a lot of fights where he's got hurt and then had to recover and come back to win. And he has been finished by strikes in one of his losses before too. As far as wrestling and grappling, that's Smotherman's weakness right now, but he does have Rafion Stotts in his corner for recent fights, so obviously you can't get much better wrestling partner than that. And he's improved his takedown defense. He's shown a fast brawl. It's just when fighters can scramble or chain wrestle, sometimes Smotherman can get lost and end up on his back, and he can also struggle to defend takedowns or work off the cage. His last loss to Shane Torres, he couldn't stop the takedowns and was just backed up for a lot of the fight. And in his last fight, he did a little bit better with the wrestling. He was able to stuff a lot of the shots, but I still think that's kind of a questionable part of his game there. And for Gregorio, to my knowledge, he's only going to be the second UFC fighter from Cyprus. Costa Philippou was the first, and if you remember, Philippou actually had a pretty good UFC run. Ironically, both fighters have been coached by Ray Longo as well. So Gregorio, he trains out of New York, trains with La MMA. And I think Philippou's actually coaches there too. And Gregorio's had a lot of fights up north, most of them for CFFC. And the level of competition has been pretty low. The couple times that he has taken the step up in competition, he hasn't gotten the win. Currently, though, he has won 3 fights in a row. His last fight, he fought for a smaller promotion, Combat FC, but he did win the Combat FC title. So both him and his opponent are coming off title victories. And Chris Disano isn't great, but he is a decent journeyman, and that was who Gregorio beat for the belt. That's probably the best win he's earned in his career to date. And this fight was he was scheduled to fight Chris Moutinho at Combat FC 4 for the title, but he got this Contender Series fight and was forced to withdraw from that one. But he should be sharp. He's been training hard for a while now, and he's well-rounded on the feet. Gregorio doesn't have the speed of Smotherman, but he's more powerful. He has big power in his right hand. He throws nice crosses, right uppercuts. When fighters pressure Gregorio, he likes to play on his feet and throw big, heavy strikes. I personally don't think Smotherman is going to be able to handle that heat that Gregorio throws if Gregorio can land clean. Gregorio has power in his leg kicks and he has good timing with them. As far as speed goes, like I said, Smotherman is faster. So for Smotherman, I would try to stay active with the jab. And in his fight with Christian Rodriguez, Gregorio did struggle with Christian Rodriguez's speed, ability to use his hands to control the distance. So I don't think Smotherman is quite as good with the footwork or just his feints and ability to kind of manipulate range as Rodriguez, but that's kind of the game plan that Smotherman needs to try to use. Wrestling-wise, Gregorio should have the advantage. He does a good job mixing in level changes. He has good wrestling against the cage. He's active, and I do think he's going to try to get takedowns. Wrestling is going to be a smart game plan for Gregorio because I think if he can get on top, he has good top control. He'll break guys down, and he isn't a big submission threat, but he has good cardio, and I think he can hold up better if he could force the wrestling. And I'm leaning towards the underdog in this one, Gregorio. I think he's the better striker. He's a little more diverse, a little more powerful, and I think his ability to mix it up and wrestle is going to help him as well. So I'm going to pick Gregorio to win via decision here, and I think he has a chance at the knockout too just because I don't trust Smotherman's chin. But ultimately, I think it's going to be a lot of wrestling as well mixed in, so I think it'll be a decision victory here for Gregorio. So give me Gregorio here to win the first fight of the night. And we're moving on. The second fight of the night here, we got Paulo Honato Jr. taking on Aslan. And Paulo Honato Jr., this is going to be his second appearance on the Contender Series. The first visit to the Apex for Honato Jr. was unsuccessful. He lost a decision to Jamal Pogues, and he's gotten back-to-back victories, gotten back on the horse, and now he's getting another invite to the show. Like Aslan, he has a very padded record, and he has a little bit better resume than Aslan, I would say, but the majority of his opponents have had losing records, and his experience on the Contender Series is going to help him. That fight was also at heavyweight, so he's coming back at 205, where probably is a better weight class for him, but he still doesn't have that much more experience than Aslan. This is only going to be his second fight outside of Brazil. The first one was that last fight that he did have, and we'll see if he can put it all together. But Aslan, he's a 27-year-old fighter out of Turkey. He's 11-1, and he's fought mostly on small shows. He only has beaten one guy with a winning record, and he also has a lot of wins in Austria, where I just don't know how developed their scene is. And the one fight where he didn't fight in Austria, that was against Anton Turkali in Sweden, and he lost that fight. So at a glance, his record looks impressive, but when you look deeper into Aslan's record, there's clearly a lot left to be desired, but this is his opportunity to prove he can compete against world level fighters, and he's came to the U.S. about a month early. He's training at Extreme Couture, so should be prepped and ready to go out there and show out. And Aslan is an athletic, powerful striker with all his wins being knockout wins. Most of the time, he gets the job done early. All his wins except for one have been in the first round. His cardio is a major issue. His fight where he got the third round knockout, both him and his opponent were visibly gassed. And the other fight that he had that went past the first, Aslan was winning the fight before giving up his back, getting submitted in the second round due to fatigue. And his opponent was able to get the back due to Aslan slipping. And, Ebo style-wise, though, he likes to stand upright. He can move in and out quickly. He's very light on his feet when fresh. He throws powerful low kicks. He has a big head kick, too, big right hand. He's aggressive, and he'll throw big overhands, hooks, fast hands on the inside. Defensively, he does stand square with his chin in the air, and he's been able to get away with the defensive mistakes because of his speed, aggression, and power, but better fighters are going to make him pay for that. And Aslan is physically strong, so he's good in the clinch. He has nice elbows on the inside. He'll try to break off with big punches. He can drag guys to the mat, mix it up. And when he gets on top, he has good control. And his ground and pound is solid. When he already has a guy hurt, he can finish him. But a lot of time he's just holding, and he isn't really a technical grappler. When he ends up on his back, he's weak. I haven't seen too much of it, but he got submitted quick when he ended up on bottom against Anton Turkali. But he is hard to take down, though, and he actually has better takedown defense than you would expect. And he's dangerous. He has a lot of potential. He's just very raw. And Paulo Honato Jr., he's a striker. On the feet, he likes to use his lateral footwork and then pull fighters into his punches. Good leg kicks too. And you'll throw 3-2s, 1-2s. He landed some slick left hooks against Jamal Pogues, but I just didn't see any power explosion really or anything super special from Honato Jr. in that fight. It was kind of a sparring type fight, and there was no wrestling or grappling, and it looked like he had good pressure, good leg kicks. He was sharp with his defense and his boxing, but super small compared to Pogues, so 205 I think is definitely going to be a better weight class for him. I still think Aslan is going to be a lot bigger than him, but cardio-wise, it does seem like Honato Jr. has the edge. He was able to go 3 rounds pretty good against Pogues, and he's a composed guy. But unfortunately, that was the only fight I was able to find of his online, so it's hard to really gauge much. But I'm going to go with Ibo Aslan. I think he can use his power, his leg kicks, maybe some wrestling if the fight does get extended. But this fight, I feel like, is a stay away. I don't trust Aslan's cardio. Honato Jr. is just not that impressive to me, so I'll say that Aslan takes out Honato Jr. early with his leg kicks and power punches, or he uses wrestling and then kind of closes the show with ground and pound. So give me Aslan in this one, but I don't see either of these guys as UFC level fighters. And in this next fight, we got a pretty good fight here. It should be entertaining with Heider Emyr taking on Emyr Sonmez. Heider Emyr is an undefeated fighter out of California, trains out at El Nino Training Center, so he's a good gym behind him. He has the advantage of being based on the West Coast. His opponent is having to come in here from the UK. And Emyr has a good resume. He's fought on big shows. He has a 3-0 record in Bellator, a 3-0 record in the LFA. And he headlined an LFA card in his last fight, so he's prepared. He's ready for this moment. 33 years old, so that's something that's a little alarming. He definitely has to go out there and put on a big performance if he wants to get the contract. And he also hasn't fought in a year, so he needs to knock off some ring rust. But he's an undefeated guy for a reason. He looks pretty impressive. And Emyr Sonmez, he's an experienced 18-fight veteran. He's 14-4. He's currently on a 3-fight winning streak. He trains at a Great Britain top team in the UK, a gym that has produced multiple UFC fighters. And he's had all his fights in the UK up until now. He's fought for Cage Warriors 4 times, and lately he's been fighting good fighters. His 12 fights before he had his first fight with Cage Warriors were just fights to pad his record, though, and the combined record of the first 10 fighters that Sonmez beat is 7 wins and 34 losses. Since fighting Cage Warriors in 2019, he has stepped up. He beat a 7-1 fighter in his Cage Warriors debut. He beat a 6-1 fighter in his last fight. He also has fought pretty recognizable UK regional scene guys, Liam Gittins and Aiden Steven. Lost both those fights. But Sonmez is older too. He's 31. So both these guys know the magnitude of this opportunity. It should be an entertaining scrap. And Heider Emyr, he's a banger, man. He's extremely durable. He throws heat. He has great cardio. He pushes the pace. He's willing to walk through punishment to wear his opponent down and then take them out late. And he had an awesome back-and-forth war with Robson Jr., where he took a lot of damage but broke Jr. down and then TKO'd him. And he just pressures guy. He works into the pocket. From there, you'll throw heavy hooks to the body, to the head, fast head kicks, body kicks, and he thrives in the chaos. He wants to get guys to brawl with him. He's very composed and just keeps that pressure and volume on. And if you're Emyr's opponent, you have to be able to stick and move, use your footwork. You can't be in the pocket with this guy. Devontae Sowell, he did a good job of moving, drawing in Heider, and then cracking him when he walked into range. He landed some big elbows, big shots, and if you could stick and move and, plant your feet and throw at the right times, you can land big punches on Heider Emyr. He's not really very defensively sound. He got caught with a big elbow, and he allowed his opponent to be competitive because he was just stubborn. He needs to be more patient. He needs to throw in a little bit more feints, and his striking could be high level at that point because he has the pace, he has the power, and he has the durability. And he looks very physically strong. His wrestling and takedown defense are on point. In the clinch, Emyr is really strong. He has good uppercuts, body punches, knees. He can dirty box. When he can get on top, his ground and pound and control are really good. And he did get taken down in his fight against Devontae Sowell, but he popped right back up. His last fight with Chase Gibson, he had a little bit more adversity to fight through. He was taken down, gave his back in the first round. Gibson actually got very close to a couple of rear naked chokes, but Emyr showed good toughness, good submission defense, and eventually was able to get the finish, turn the tables on Gibson, and knock him out in the second round. And the cardio on Emyr is really good. He looks like he gets tired, like he's breathing heavy, but he just keeps that same pace and pushes a crazy pace. And Emyr Sonmez, he's a tall, long, and lanky fighter. Sonmez is going to have the height and reach advantage. Style-wise, Sonmez, he likes to fight long on the feet. Sonmez uses feints well. He'll move in and out of range. He throws fast kicks. Sonmez will throw some good straight punches. In this fight, I would look to throw uppercuts, knees, and shots up the middle if I'm Sonmez. That's going to be his best chance to knock out or kind of just stop Emyr from coming forward. Defensively on the feet, Emyr is going to be able to land on Sonmez. Sonmez doesn't have the best defense. He carries his hands low. And Liam Giddens had success pressuring and flurrying on Sonmez, and he's a much smaller, less powerful fighter, less explosive fighter than Heider Emyr. So I feel like if Sonmez can't effectively wrestle here, I think he might be in trouble. Primarily, Sonmez is a wrestler, though. He has fast level changes. He's relentless with his attempts. He's going to be constantly shooting the double leg. And I think it could be a struggle for Sonmez to take down and hold down Emyr. I don't know if he's going to have the physicality. I believe Emyr is physically superior. But he has to use his speed, try to close the distance and time the double. Or if Emyr pressures, he has to level change under him. And we've seen Emyr get taken down in the past, and including in his last fight. So Sonmez does have a path to victory. In Sonmez's last fight, he showed really good top control. He was very active with his transitions. He did a good job of not being stood up because he was throwing good ground and pound. He's not really a big... he has submissions, but I feel like they're a little bit sloppy, and he doesn't want to really go for submissions against Emyr. I think he'll lose position. But he was very active and active enough to stay in the top position and not let the ref stand him up in his last fight. And his cardio is on point. He can push a high wrestling pace, and I do think he slows down if you could stuff his takedowns, but if he can get his game plan going and start wrestling, he could slow you down too. But this is a great stylistic clash. I feel like this fight could go either way. Emyr is a beast. He's extremely fun to watch. If Emyr can keep this one standing, I see him pressuring, landing big shots, eventually breaking Sonmez. But Sonmez is long, fast, and if he can get his wrestling game going, maybe he can nullify Emyr. So both fighters have passed to victory. I'm going to personally pick Emyr because he's a dog and he has a better cardio and a better chance to finish the fight. I think he's a little bit tougher, grittier guy. I've seen Emyr get tired I've seen Sonmez get tired and break against Liam Giddens. That fight was at 135, and I think Sonmez probably regretted the weight cut, but he still quit a little bit. And he's going to have to travel for this fight for the first time. I think Emyr has a little bit better resume. So if Emyr can just avoid getting controlled for the majority of the fight, I feel like he can break down and finish Sonmez. So I'll say he wins via late second round KO TKO and go with Heider Emyr in this fight. And the next fight here we got is Eduardo Mora. She's going to be taking on Janina Silva. And yeah, man, this is a good fight. I mean, Eduardo Mora, she's a 29-year-old Brazilian prospect. She fights out of the same gym as Jalton Almeida. She's a grappling-based fighter. So far in her pro career, she's ran through almost everyone. She's finished all but one of her victories, and only 2 of the 8 opponents have made it out of the first round, so she's been taking them out early. Most of Mora's opponents have been inexperienced. She's only fought 2 fighters who have had more than 10 fights, and she's only had 1 fight outside of Brazil so far. So this is going to be her first fight in the U.S., and it's going to be the best opponent that she's fought to date, if you ask me. And for Janina Silva, she's also undefeated Brazilian. She's going to be making her first foray in the international competition. She's a little bit older. She's 31, and she's representing a Babuino Gold Team, which is a good gym. Resume-wise, Silva has also fought better fighters. Although Silva isn't setting the world on fire with her level of opposition either, she's beaten 3 girls with winning records out of the 5 she's fought. And both girls have a lot to prove, though. Someone's has to go on Tuesday night. And for Janina Silva, she's tough. She's a rugged fighter. She's physically strong. She hits hard. Style-wise, she uses a boxing style, short and compact, and kind of like a Mike Tyson style. Holds her hands high, head movement. Wants to try to use the jabs, the big power overhands and hooks in combination. She goes to the body to open up the head. And her footwork to get inside is really improved as well as her head movement. If you look at her last fight, Silva has power in her hands, so fighters don't like sitting in the pocket with her, and they can't afford to take too many shots from her. She's super active with her kicks, but she throws really good leg kicks. And overall, her volume is on point. She pushes the pace. She's pretty difficult to hit. And opponents definitely can kind of try to catch her with straight punches down the middle. And if you can keep Silva at the end of her punches, you could touch her up from the outside. But it's easier said than done. And she's strong, which helps her defend takedowns, create scrambles. I haven't seen her face a high-level grappler or wrestler yet, so Eduardo Mora is going to be that first test. I would say looking to take Silva down is probably the way to go. I mean, she isn't someone who looks to be offensive with her wrestling or grappling. I have seen her catch kicks and take fighters down that way, but I haven't seen really much grappling from her from the top or bottom position. So I think that's probably what Mora is going to want to test. But Silva puts a lot out there. She pushes the pace. She does slow down a little bit. She did get tired in the third round of her last fight. She seemed like she dominated like the first 9 minutes of the fight, but the last 6 minutes were competitive. But Silva's a dog, man. I mean, you can tell she's intense, and she will fight hard until the bitter end. And Eduardo Mora, she's a big fighter for the weight class. She's going to have a pretty significant height and reach advantage, and it's going to be 5 inches in height, 3 inches in reach. She's a grappler. She's another girl who was inspired by Ronda Rousey. Her nickname is Ronda, and she's an armbar hunter. Good arm bars, but she definitely throws up submissions to her detriment at times. I've seen her try to attack unsuccessful flying arm bars. I've seen her try to go high mount and go for an arm bar and lose position. And I'm basing a lot of what I'm saying off of one old fight of hers because it's really hard to find fights of Mora's online. Her most recent fight I could watch was at Thunder 39. In that fight, she kind of showed the same game plan. She was aggressive, came forward through some weak punches to get inside, then got the takedown. Her wrestling is okay, but didn't seem like anything special. When she got on top, she did look smarter with her game plan. She was using her ground and pound to open up transitions, and she was more worried about being in dominant position than hunting the armbar only. And she was able to get the back and then eventually get the rear naked choke. But I haven't really been able to see Mora strike for long periods. It's hard for me to really gauge much about her. I don't know. If you look at her record, it's like it could be a little iffy. She had been decision twice. Both were split decisions. She had an amateur loss where she got finished in the third round. And most of her wins are in the first against low-level fighters. So to me, that kind of signifies if this fight gets out of the first round, if it starts to get tough, maybe we could see Mora slow down or check out. But based off what I know, I think Silva's going to get the KO I think she has pretty impressive striking overall, and Mora isn't overwhelmingly an elite grappler to me. I feel like Silva, at the underdog price, is a decent play currently, so I feel like Silva is going to be the pick for me, and I'm going to pick her to win via second round knockout in this one. And now we get the main event. We got Abdul Kareem AlSawati. He's going to be taking on George Hardwick, and this is a good one, man. I mean, Abdul Kareem AlSawati is competing out of Dallas, Texas now, 28 years old. He's representing the well-known Fortis MMA, and he's 14-3. He's on a 3-fight win streak. He's competed against good fighters on big shows for years now. He started out with the Desert Force promotion, which is a pretty good promotion in the Middle East. He went all the way to the top in that organization. He became the champion. Then he went to Brave CF, kicked it off with them. He was part of their first show ever. Had a lot of fights with Brave CF and did exactly what he did in Desert Force and Brave CF. He became the champion. And this time, AlSawati had to get through stiffer competition. He beat Eric Da Silva. He beat Charlie Leary. He beat Lucas Martins. Won that Brave FC belt. All those guys are veterans with good resumes. And he did end up finishing his Brave CF career, though, with back-to-back first-round knockout losses. And after those fights in 2019, I don't know if he was already training out of Dallas or not, but he didn't fight for 2 years. He returned at LFA 103, and then after that, he won his fight at LFA 103, and then he moved on to Fury FC, where he's had his last 3 fights, and history repeated itself once again, man. I mean, for a third time, AlSawati went to a new promotion, became the champ. His last fight, he became the Fury FC lightweight champion. And man, I mean, as you could see, AlSawati is an extremely impressive pedigree. And George Hardwick is the final hurdle to climb to get to his rightful spot in the biggest promotion in the world. And George Hardwick, he's a hyped English prospect who's been very dominant for most of his career. He's a 26-year-old fighter. He's won 8 fights in a row. He's made two successful title defenses of his Cage Warriors lightweight title. He's beaten a lot of really good fighters, and he's also even had 2 fights for Bellator. So this is going to be his first fight outside of the UK, but he's been able to showcase his skills to the masses in terms of being on some high-level shows. His only loss is also at 170, so at 155 he is undefeated, and he's already proven he can beat basically anyone in his weight class in the UK, so this is the time for him to step up, see if he can beat AlSawati and become a UFC fighter. And Abdul Kareem AlSawati is a ripped up muscle shark of a fighter. He's powerful, he's explosive, he brings the pressure. He likes to move side to side and then you'll dart in with power punches to open up the takedown. He has power overhands, good left hooks. He has good head kicks, hard low kicks, but he can run into strikes and he's not that defensively responsible. Fighters with good ability to pull opponents into shots and throw shots up the middle are going to be dangerous for AlSawati. AlSawati has been knocked out in the first round in all 3 of his losses. But if AlSawati can land his own overhands, he can drop fighters as well. He's powerful, and he thrives on the mat. He's super strong, great blast double. He really commits and shoots hard on the double leg. He finishes almost all of them. That is a little dangerous against a guy that has a really good guillotine to shoot to commit so hard to the double leg, but he's usually really good at defending the guillotine. And when AlSawati gets on top, he has heavy top pressure. He's aggressive with his guard passes. He makes fighters work on the ground. He's methodical. He takes his time. So even though he's moving and being aggressive, he maintains top position really well. Throws hard punches, hard elbows, a lot of ground and pound wins. And he's attempted a lot of submissions in his last fight. He was able to show as well, even when he lost position going for submissions, he could scramble right back to the top position. And cardio for AlSawati is amazing. He doesn't get tired. If you can make it a grappling match with almost anyone, he's a handful. Most of the time, his wins are ground and pound wins. He doesn't have a lot of submission victories on his record, but I do think his submission game is there. And he always brings a crowd with him, so they're always going to be super loud. And if they're there in the apex, that is something that could sway the judges in a close fight. But George Hardwick is a striker who is a very big guy for the weight class. He likes to walk fighters down, hands high, get in the pocket, uses boxing. He throws tight hooks. He'll rip the body early. He has early and often, honestly. He keeps that body work coming, keeps the pace high, he breaks fighters down as the match goes on, throws nice leg kicks, fast kicks to all parts of the body. But in this fight, I think I would look to be more hands-oriented, work leg kicks primarily. And Hardwick is the more composed and cleaner striker. He picks his shots well, he chips away, and a lot of his finishes have come later in fights. Sometimes he can get clipped with heavy shots. I've seen him get his nose busted and show some facial damage, but he has a chin and pretty good defense overall. George Hardwick is wiry, strong. He has a good clinch game, nice elbows, dirty boxing, good knees. He can hit body locks. He isn't really an active wrestler or grappler offensively, but he puts so much pressure on guys that they take bad shots or force the clinch, and then you'll sprawl or get his clinch game going. And he can get on top, circle to the back. He also has good front chokes. In his fight with Lucas Copera, who I think is kind of a similar opponent to Kareem, just not as good or well-conditioned, Hardwick stuffed the takedowns. He did get put on the fence a bit, but he did a great job digging double underhooks and actually out-wrestled Copera. And he's fought other wrestlers, also improving. He's difficult to take down, hold down. He has excellent cardio. He's been in 5-round fights. And he should have the tools here, I feel, George Hardwick, to control the striking, land a lot cleaner, a lot more often, stuff the takedowns. He just has to be aware of the explosiveness, both in the power, overhands, and double legs of AlSawati. If he can manage that, he should dominate. Skills-wise on the feet, Hardwick is far superior. His length will help him out as well. And I know all of Kareem AlSawati's losses are first-round losses, but honestly, I think this one's going to go a little bit longer. Hardwick doesn't hunt the finish like that, so I expect him to either stop AlSawati late or decision him. Personally, I'll say it's a dominant decision win for Hardwick. I know most of his wins are finishes, but AlSawati, I think, is a super tough guy. And if he doesn't get caught cold early, which I don't think Hardwick is necessarily going to catch him with that type of heat early, more than likely. I mean, you look at the way that AlSawati got knocked out, it was with a knee to the chin and an elbow. So unless he catches something really hard, I feel like it's going to be a decision victory for Hardwick, but very dominant. So give me George Hardwick. And that's the full card breakdown and predictions video for Dana White Contender Series 2023 Week 2. Like I said at the start of the video, we've been rolling, man, on the Patreon. We've been making a lot of money. Everyone over there has been satisfied, and we got the Discord rolling too, so I'm going to put that link in the description. Definitely come over to Discord and check that out, and join the Patreon, make yourself some money, support the channel. Hit that like button on this video, put a comment down below. Hopefully you enjoy this video. Hopefully you learned something from it. If you think I'm full of shit, let it be known in the comments. If you think I did a good job, let it be known. Tell me who you're betting on, what your predictions are. Would be curious. We got a big week coming up with UFC pay-per-view next week, so pretty excited for that. Gonna be back on the channel breaking that down, so definitely make sure to be locked in. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, and I'll see you guys soon.